ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Marshall of the American Legion, Post 389, and I'll be your Master of Ceremonies today. It's good to see so many of you in attendance today. For many Americans, the last Monday of May marks the unofficial start of summer, a long weekend with family barbecue or gathering of friends. For those who served in the military, Memorial Day holds a greater significance as it commemorates the brave men and women who have lost their lives defending our great nation. It is a day all Americans should take a moment to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our country. Memorial Day is a day for both grief and celebration, reflecting on the tragic loss of life and recounting the courageousness of their service. Our debt to the heroic men and valiant women in the service of our country can never be repaid. America will never forget their sacrifices. I'd like to now ask you to rise for the entrance of colors and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem as performed by the Riverview Community High School Band under the direction of Alex Piquel.
American flag, host the American flag. Host all other colors. Host colors.
Please remain standing now for our national anthem.
Right face. Those in uniform and veterans, salute the flag. All others, please remove your hat. 2.
Now, I'd like to introduce Mr. Billy Budson, our Post 389 chaplain, who will give the invocation.
If you would, please, can we bow for a word of prayer? Father, I thank you today for the day that you have given us. And Father, I thank you for my Legion Post, Post 389 in Riverview, Michigan, for affording me this opportunity for prayer. On this Memorial Day, Father, I would like us all to remember those who have given their all for us, Father. Even those, Father, who have given their very lives for the freedoms that we enjoy. I'd ask today that you would be with their families today, Father, and you would instill within them a sense of pride and honor. And Father, for all those who are serving today in our military, I pray, Father, that you would bless them and keep them from harm's way. And now, Father, I would like to remember our police officers, Lord, as they put their lives on the line each day to protect and to serve. And for our fire department, Father, and our EMTs, as they perform the dangerous work that they're called to do, bless them today, Lord. Father, bless our city services for those who keep our streets and our homes in order. And Father, I'd ask today that you bless our officials and you would give them, Father, the wisdom to continue to make the right choices that apply to our lives. And Father, I pray that you would bless these young people who have given their time and their work to display each and every one of these great flags. And remember, they are our next generation. They are our next leaders, Lord. And I thank you for them. Last but not least, Father, I thank you for our teachers, Father, who educate our children. And I thank you today for each person in attendance here this morning. Father, I pray that you would bestow a special blessing upon each one, no matter what their condition may be, Father, that you'd be with them on this special day. Give us hope, Father, give us peace, and give us understanding. And I'll be careful to give you the praise, the honor, and the glory. It's in Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen. Amen.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce the Mayor of Riverview, Mr. Andy Swift.
You guys can be seated for me. Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day today to do what we need to do, and that's to recognize those who paid the ultimate price. Thank you for joining us as we gather here to honor and remember the brave men and women who gave their lives in service to our country, especially those from Riverview. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to recognize some of the dedicated public services, servants, and special guests we have here today. We have Councilman Webb, Councilwoman Rita Ganaga, Councilman Workman, Councilman Prey, and Councilman Robbins. We also have our new fire chief here somewhere, Glenn Owens, and our police chief, John Allen. We also have our city manager, Jeff Dobeck, each of whom plays a vital role in keeping our city safe and running smoothly. It's also a great honor to introduce not only my friend, but your tireless advocate in Washington, Congresswoman Debbie Dingell. Thank you for coming, Debbie. We're grateful for her continued support of our community. Finally, a heartfelt thanks goes to the following motorcycle clubs that helped put this ride on this morning. The ride is very meaningful. It's short, but very meaningful. We're proud to have riders from the American Legion Post 389, the Ford Motorcycle Club, the Latin American Motorcycle Association, the Detroit chapter, and the Enforcers Motorcycle Club, along with the Michigan Riders. Your presence and support of our fallen heroes is very powerful. Thank you for being here as we reflect and remember the tribute. Today, we gather as a community to honor and remember the brave men and women who selflessly served our nation. On this Memorial Day, we pay tribute to the courageous souls who have made the ultimate sacrifice to protect the values and the freedoms that we hold dear. As the mayor of this remarkable city, it is both a privilege and a responsibility to stand before you today and express our heartfelt gratitude to those who have answered the call of duty, defending our land, our ideals, and our way of life. Their unwavering commitment and unwavering courage have left an indelible mark on our history. Today, let us remember the faces of the sons and the daughters, husbands and wives, fathers and mothers who never returned home. Let us recall the stories of their bravery, their sacrifice, and their unwavering dedication to preserving the ideals that define our nation. We also extend our deepest sympathies and condolences to the families and friends who have lost loved ones. We recognize the void left by their absence and acknowledge the immeasurable grief they endure. We sat beside them as a united community, offering our support, love, and gratitude. Today, as we stand together on Memorial Day, let us renew our commitment to the values that define our nation. Let us carry forward the spirit of those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Their memory is etched in our hearts. Thank you, and may God bless the fallen, their families, our armed forces, the United States, and the beautiful city of Riverview. Thank you. Actually, I just found out I get to do something really special. Several years ago, the committee always wants to make this a reverent and somber ceremony. It's not a celebration, it's a ceremony recognizing those who paid the ultimate price. And we thought, what better way to help present this is to include the bagpipes. So if Mr. Ty Cawthorn is around, could you please come up here? All right, Ty. He's coming. Ty, in recognition of your contribution, you didn't have to help out, but you chose to. We truly appreciate your efforts in making Riverview's Memorial Day even better. Signed, the American Legion Post 389 and Riverview Memorial Day Committee. Congratulations, Ty.
I wonder if I could have you step up to the podium. If you've studied history, you'll know what this great edifice is all about and who raised the funds to erect this. I know from experience that they kept raising the cost. And Elmer kept putting on the golf outings to put this display up. So Elmer, thank you very much, you and your family. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary. I will be very brief and short. This memorial, believe it or not, is 27 years old today. And thanks to all of you sitting here and standing here, it backed me up and raised the funds to build this beautiful memorial. And I want to thank two more people, my son Robin, who helped big time, my grandson Travis Spuler, his wife Brianna, Austin, Emma, and Gardner, and my granddaughter Danielle with Philip and Benjamin, and all of you people, and most of all my wife Nancy, who's up there with the Lord. I want to say God bless all of you and all our armed forces and all the people with them flags that gave the ultimate service. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Elmer. I would now like to introduce Mr. Tim Gilhole as today's keynote speaker. Tim was born and raised in Riverview, Michigan, and graduated from Riverview High School in 1988. He earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan, a master's degree in history from the University of Richmond, and a master's degree from the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College. Additionally, he is a graduate of the elite U.S. Army School of Advanced Military Studies. He served in the Army from 1992 to 2012 with a number of tours in Germany and Korea, and also combat tours with the 82nd Airborne Division in support of Iraqi freedom and enduring freedom in Iraq. He also supported contingency planning and crisis response for Hurricane Mitch and Hurricane Katrina. He retired from the Army after 23 years of military service. His awards include the Legion of Merit, the Bronze Star, Senior Parachutist Badge, and multiple other Army, NATO, and UN awards for leadership and achievement. It is now my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Tim Gilhole.
Okay, I guess that means I can't screw this up. So, ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Dingle, Mayor Swift, city officials, friends, it is a distinct honor to be here among you. And we are obviously blessed with this amazing, this is not typical Michigan weather, right? So, I've been away in Virginia too long, but I gotta admit, this is just, it is incredible to be back here and to be among you. It is my distinct honor today, here in my hometown, next to the places where me and my siblings grew up, to be here. I am very conscious of my personal responsibility to you and your families as to what it means to wear our nation's uniform and what it means to be asked to speak on America's most meaningful holiday, where we remember those who gave that last full measure of devotion for all of us. During my 23 years on active duty, I had the privilege of deploying twice into combat zones. Once to Iraq for 15 months in 2006 and 2007, and once to Afghanistan for 7 months in 2012. On both occasions, I did so as a field grade officer in an airborne brigade combat team in the 82nd Airborne Division. It should come as no surprise that an elite formation like the 82nd would be sent to some, let's just say, some pretty crappy places that were among the most dangerous and challenging operational environments. I lost people who I knew, slept next to, and in one case was their commanding officer. I would like to talk to you about two of them, one from Iraq and one from Afghanistan, and give you some context on what we all lost when these soldiers died for our country. The first soldier I want to tell you about is First Lieutenant Michael Cerrone. He was a rifle platoon leader in Alpha Company, 2nd Battalion, 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 2 Panther, operating Samarra, Saladin Province, Iraq. I got to know Mike when I helped lead a section to participate in pre-deployment planning conference in Hawaii. Yes, I know it sounds rough. Mike and several other lieutenants were tasked to help out mostly on administrative tasks, as we field grades made the sausage for the actual planning of the operation. We were all billeted in some less than aloha buildings at the back of Schofield Barracks. But before we went back to Fort Bragg, center of the universe, we got to have a great meal downtown in Honolulu. Mike was highly intelligent, friendly, and motivated. He was a military brat, having grown up in Army bases across the globe. And perhaps most uncomfortably for him, he was the son of a general officer. And not just any general officer, but Brigadier General James Cerrone, who was the 82nd's Deputy Commanding General. I remember distinctly speaking with General Cerrone and his wife at a social event just prior to her deployment, telling them what a wonderful young man they raised and how proud they should be of him. I also vaguely remember telling him that he would be fine. Less than 100 days after we arrived in Saladin Province, I was up at our brigade headquarters to do some coordination when I was approached by one of my deputies, who had also done the trip out to Hawaii with us, with a look of dread and sorrow on his face. He told me that Mike had been killed in an IED attack. Mike was 24 years old. I remember watching our brigade commander make a personal call to Brigadier General Cerrone to tell him that his son has died in combat. Mike had so much more to give, to himself, his family, and the world. Every loss of an American service member is a tragedy, but this one has resonated with me, even 19 years later, because it encapsulates the devastating impact on an Army family, even one with a general officer. The second soldier I want to tell you about is Specialist Crystal Alvarado Fitz. Crystal was born and raised in Pflugerville, Texas. She joined the Army in 2009 as a chemical operations specialist, graduated from Airborne School at Fort Benning, and arrived at our unit, the 4th Brigade Combat Team 508th Parachute Infantry Regiment, just prior to May 2010, just in time for an upcoming deployment to Afghanistan. Adventurous and motivated, she volunteered for duty with our female engagement teams, which would be assigned directly to our infantry units to help interact with the local women and children. She even started to learn the Pashtun language to better engage with the Afghan people. In February 2012, we deployed to Kandahar province, and Crystal was directly attached to the 1st Battalion 508th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 1 Fury. On 17 July 2012, while working at Fort Outpost, she and another paratrooper were killed by a recoilless rifle round that impacted on unit positions. I regret to say that I didn't get a lot of interaction with Crystal, either before or even during the deployment. She was one of over 800 paratroopers under my command. But in hindsight, I should have better realized how special she was. I remember doing PT, physical training run, with her and some other female engagement team members, of course, in the rain. I have this image of her face, determined, if a bit daunted, with the realization of the task she had taken on, and it is still right there in my head, almost 13 years later. When I was formally notified of her death, I was sitting at my desk in our ramshackle wooden headquarters we shared with our Afghan National Army counterparts. As her battalion commander, I was required to give some brief remarks that would go on forward with the official Army press release. How can you say something that encapsulates a young soldier's brief life and supreme sacrifice? I knew whatever I said would be out there forever, and that through the magic of the internet searches, if you looked at my name and her name together, you would find my words. I will leave it to you all to look for those if you so choose, but I knew whatever I said would seem inadequate to the loss suffered by her parents, her siblings, and friends, not to mention the elite rifle company where she had been directly embedded for the past 5 months. This Memorial Day, even though neither of these soldiers have any direct ties to our home here in Riverview in the Metro Detroit area, I would ask you to keep Mike, Crystal, and their families in your thoughts. In so many ways, they are representative of the 7,074 American service members who died in our wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other outposts during the global war on terror. They will not be the last to do so. But despite the tragedy of their loss, I know they met their fates willingly, or at least at the possibility that they would never come home. Once again, I am honored to be here among you and to represent the United States Army, even in an official retired guy capacity, and be able to share their stories with you. Till we meet again, I ask you in Army fashion to be all you can be. And remember that all American military, this is our most sacred day. Thank you, good luck, and Godspeed.
OOD, we'd like to now prepare for the wreath presentations. The Purple Heart wreath is going to be presented by Mr. Marshall Prang, Vice Commander of Military Order of the Purple Heart, Post 127. Post 127, please present your wreath. Post 389 wreath will be presented by Miss Janet LaPlante of the Riverview Legion, Unit 389 Auxiliary. Post 389, please present your wreath. I would now like to introduce Mr. John Price for the call of the roll.
World War I, the war to end all wars. For some reason, people had a tendency to put labels on each war. Army Corporal Albert E. Smith was living in Riverview when he enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1912. Corporal Smith went on to become a motorcycle courier whose job it was to transport written orders to the battlefront, as they didn't have modern radio technology. Corporal Smith was in the thick of a 27-day war, one of the largest and heaviest World War I battle, the Battle of Verdun. Corporal Smith was killed in Seblinz, Germany, March 1st, 1919. As you all know, Riverview High School was dedicated to Albert E. Smith. World War II, America's greatest generation. Riverview men and 2 women served their country in that war. Army Tech 5, Edward N. Hicks, was living in Riverview, was married to Lucy Corvitz, and had 2 children, Henry and Rose, at the time he enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1942. Tech Sergeant 5, Edward N. Hicks, was killed in action near the village of Apweiler, Germany, November 20th, 1944. Army Tech Sergeant Edward Keith Hudson was working in Riverview at the time he entered the U.S. Army in December 1942. This highly decorated soldier was awarded posthumously the United States' 3rd highest award, the Silver Star, for gallantry in action. Sergeant Hudson was killed in action near Erweiler, France, March 15, 1945. Army Private First Class Irving R. Lambrix was born and raised in Riverview and was alumnus of F.B. Sibley School and Albert E. Smith High School. Private First Class Lambrix was another highly decorated soldier with a Purple Heart, the European Medal with 1 Bronze Star. Private First Class Lambrix was an Army commando who was killed in action near Mount Moncelia in Florence, Italy, September 17, 1944. Army Private Gerald D. McFall attended Albert E. Smith High School in Riverview. Private McFall was an infantry with the fighting 36th Division, Texas Division, was highly decorated soldier who was with a company of 184 men, battled the enemy. 48 hours later, 17 were left. Private McFall was killed in action near Gari River in Italy, February 28, 1944. Marine Corporal Claude F. McTaggart was a graduate of Albert E. Smith High School in Riverview. Corporal McTaggart originally listed as missing and was later listed as killed in action, body unrecoverable, on the beaches of Saipan in the northern Marianas Islands, June 15, 1944. Army Private Douglas H. Phelps was a graduate of Albert E. Smith High School in Riverview. Private Phelps died while serving his country and died non-battle September 27, 1941. Navy Fireman First Class Joseph J. Ricci attended the Albert E. Smith High School in Riverview. The official World War II records of Navy casualties list him as lost at sea while on board a ship somewhere in the South Pacific and considered drowned, and later listed Fireman First Class Ricci as killed in action at sea, November 17, 1945. Navy Seaman Second Class Philip O. Sharp was a student of Albert E. Smith High School in Riverview before enlisting in the U.S. Navy. According to U.S. rosters of the World War II, dead Seaman Philip O. Sharp is listed as killed in action, body non-recoverable, December 14th, 1943. Army Private Ralph A. Shafke attended the Albert E. Smith High School in Riverview. Private Shafke was married at the time of his death to his wife Monica. Private Ralph was killed in action somewhere in France, August 30th, 1944. Army Sergeant Freeman A. Trudeau was married and living with his wife Constance in Riverview at the time he was drafted into service. Sergeant Trudeau was another highly decorated soldier and was awarded the Bronze Stars for heroic action against the enemy. Sergeant A. Trudeau was killed in action near the town of St. James, France. His body listed as unrecoverable, August 20th, 1944. the Korean War, titled as a police action or the Forgotten War. Army Private Kenneth Daley Polkey was a lifelong resident of Riverview. Kenneth attended Sibley and Albert E. Smith High School before he enlisted in the U.S. Army November 3rd, 1952. Kenny wanted to get his enlistment over so he could come home and marry his high school sweetheart, Eileen. He had been in Korea only 17 days and saw action only 2 days. Private Kenneth D. Polkey was killed in action in Korea, May 29th, 1953. Army Private Paul J. Terry attended Albert E. Smith High School in Riverview. He enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1949 with the intention of making the military a career. In July 1950, while stationed in Hawaii, Paul and his unit were rushed to Korea to stop North Koreans from advancing into South Korea until help arrived. Unfortunately, help did not arrive soon enough. Private Paul J. Terry, only 19 years old at the time, was only in Korea 3 days when he was killed in action, July 27, 1950. The Vietnam War, the never-ending war. Army Second Lieutenant Dennis J. Breda attended Riverview Community High School, after which he married and moved to Oxnard, California, before he was drafted into the U.S. Army November 26, 1966. Lieutenant Dennis John Breda was killed in action near Tai Nai Province in South Vietnam, March 19, 1967. Army Second Lieutenant Thomas J. Evans was a graduate of Riverview Community High School and also a graduate of the University of Michigan. Tom joined the U.S. Marine Corps immediately after graduating U of M. Evans enlisted to enter law school after returning from service. Lieutenant Thomas John Evans was killed in action in Vietnam near Nha Trang Province 2 days after his 22nd birthday, November 7, 1968. Army Warrant Officer James Lee Paul was a 1966 graduate of Riverview Community High School in Riverview and attended Central Michigan College before entering the service in 1969. Paul was a Cobra gunship pilot on an extradition mission in the vicinity of Khe Sanh Province. Warrant Officer James Lee Paul was killed in action in Vietnam, February 5th, 1971. Marine Lance Corporal Kenneth Earl Treadway was a Riverview resident at the time he joined the U.S. Marine Corps, April 15, 1967, and was married to his wife Nancy at the time of his death. Lance Corporal Kenneth Earl Treadway was killed in action in Vietnam near Quang Nam Province, October 21st, 1967.
Officer of the day, please perform your closing duties. The flags today are being raised by seniors Simon Baker, who will be joining the Army upon graduation. Sean Clone will be joining the Coast Guard upon graduation. Bryce Schock will be joining the Army upon graduation. And Sienna Brown will be joining the Marines upon graduation. This concludes today's service, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming, and please join us back at the American Legion on Quarry Road, as lunch will be provided along with a chance to win a gift basket of cheer. Raffle tickets will be sold there, and the drawing will be held later this afternoon. Thank you again.